for Pharos, I think the most important thing is that we are trying to onboarding the TradeFi to the Web3, which means the Web2 institutions, capitals, and asset. And that's all things we want to do because we saw the trend that the Web3 is desperately need more sustainable and premium asset that could be enjoyed by all the users. And also the all the institutions in Web2 and the companies, they are also trying to using the blockchain technology to improve the efficiency of their money flow, improve the efficiency of their fundraising, etc. I think we saw this trend and this momentum. That's what we're doing right now.
Welcome to Dealflow Podcast. Today I am talking with Wish. Wish is the co-founder and CEO of Pharos. Now, Pharos is a high-performance blockchain, EVM-compatible, that is posed to become the home of institutional-grade assets. If you want to know how to grow a testnet to get 4.3 billion transactions or a Discord to get 1 million users, you better listen up because Wish is going to be spilling some alpha. Thank you for joining Dealflow, Wish.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Keira. Nice to meet you, all the audience.
If anybody is going to forget anything that we speak about today, what is one fundamental that you want people to come away with about the truth of Pharos and the truth about the future of money?
Yeah, so for Pharos, I think the most important thing is that we are trying to onboarding the TradeFi to the Web3, and which means the Web2 institutions, capitals, and asset, and that's all things we want to do because we think we saw the trend that the Web3 is desperately need more sustainable and premium asset that could be enjoyed by all the users. And also the all the institutions in Web2 and the companies, they are also trying to using the blockchain technology to improve the efficiency of their money flow, to improve the efficiency of their fundraising, etc. I think we saw this trend and this momentum. That's what we're doing right now.
So high quality assets, are these the assets that insurance companies and banks and pension funds are dealing with? How do they differentiate from a not so premium asset?
Yeah, I mean I think the premium asset are always not that accessible to all the people. Probably you will find it in a private bank. They have a high entry barrier and and a high yield. That's how we classify premium asset. It most of the time it come from those most reputable financial institutions, but sometimes it also come from those Web2 companies that they have their private credit, but it's not that accessible to all the users.
So how is Pharos, the L1 blockchain that you are building there, going to unlock this access?
Yeah, I think the first thing is from the day one we built Pharos, it's a more we wanted it to be more institutional because we designed the underlying infrastructure to be firstly to be more secure, like to meet the requirement of those financial institutions, and the second thing is because of the background and the resources we have from the investors and the partners we had, and also because of the experience we had before that when we're building a consortium blockchain, we do all those business with those institutions and companies. We know what their needs, and we build the Pharos for them.
And so why does Pharos actually need to be on a blockchain? Like how does actually maybe we can take it back for a little bit step. So go
Yeah.
back to the basics around like how would you explain what blockchain is to our audience and why is Pharos actually a blockchain? Like what is the blockchain component of it that allows this access to be unlocked?
Yeah, I think so. I think before that, I want to explain that some of the background of the team. So previously, I think starting from 2017, so we are building the largest consortium blockchain platform in China. It's called AmpChain. At that time, it's a consortium blockchain, though. So we did a lot of the user cases in the supply chain, and ABS, and within the components, how to or connecting those financial institutions or even government in China. So at that time, we are doing this institutional business, and we are also building this infrastructure to be really, really high performant to meet a requirement of over a billion users. For example, to support the largest NFT marketplace in China, and at the peak time, it's also the Chinese New Year that we support over 1 billion users to claim NFT on this blockchain. So, so we know how what they need, and I think it's 2024, we come out and we build the Pharos based on the same tech stack. And at that time, we built several user cases for Order Bay in Hong Kong. And at that time, that most of the institutions are so eagerly that they can tokenize their asset using the blockchain technologies. That's the initial motivation we built Pharos. And that's also why we are following this trend and to still building the infrastructure for Pharos for the RealFi to onboarding the Web2 company institutions and assets.
So, if someone was to sort of visualize this, is it like what sort of institutions are using Pharos, or I guess in the testnet phase that you're at the moment, and how are they using it to get access to these new assets?
Yeah. So I think currently on the testnet there are a few financial institutions in Hong Kong are using that, and sorry I cannot name them right now because of the NDA. But it will be published on the mainnet, and also there are several, for example, our investors like Ant and also the YF Capitals and some of the security companies in Hong Kong are using that. Uh, and currently, we are also working with some of the asset issuers and protocols in the States, like Centrifuge and some of the stablecoin issuers are also using that.
Okay, so if we were to break down again, like blockchain technology, how would you actually describe? Because you're building an L1 blockchain, and this is the infrastructure layer of the next generation of the Web3 as it's commonly known. So, how would you explain to somebody maybe at a dinner party around, like, hi, my name's Wish, and I'm building an L1 blockchain? And I repeat back to you, what is an L1 blockchain?
Yeah, I think L1 blockchain is, I would always say it's like Ethereum for the most fundamental infrastructure for all those Web3 applications. And what is the difference is that we are highly high performance. We can reach 20K TPS, which is the fattest in the current community, I think. And and then later on, I think I don't want to emphasize about the technology itself, about the application, and we support we supported for example, the order book based DEX. We supported the very high performance uh, uh, high-performance exchanges on the blockchain, and we also support the privacy transactions through our customizable SPM features, and we can even support the heterogeneous hardware that, for example, the GPU to support the AI plus Web3 applications. So that's the features we are going to express that.
Building a ultra fast blockchain, does that position you guys to really take the lead on trading and transactions and payments? Is that where you guys are positioning yourself at the moment? And are there what other industries or sections can actually benefit from very fast transaction speed?
I think there is always a need for high performance, and I know there is an argument that says that most of the application they don't need this high performance. But I want to mention that high performance doesn't only means the TPS, but also means faster. settlement time, finality time, and also means the uh, scale of the account you can support in the future. So Pharos is not only on the TPS but also on the scale of users accounts. We can on the testnet we support almost 10 even in our testnet in our test environment we can support over 1 billion accounts without downgradation on the performance. That's really important. And also we support less than 1 second of this finality time because with our consensus is this we call this asynchronized BFT algorithm. It all those transactions being finalized once it's generated on the blockchain. So that's really important, for example, for the payment, for some of the institutional usage. They cannot accept a rollback after this transaction being finalized.
So you are building a ultra fast blockchain, which is specialized for transactions, but it can venture out into other things. So when I am sitting here, perhaps I'm a builder and I know of other L1 blockchains, say Ethereum or Solana. Like, how would I be encouraged to come across and actually build on Pharos? There's a lot of talk in the space at the moment. Why do we need another L1? And how do you position yourself against those other big ecosystems out there?
Yeah, I think the as a beginning we choose to be EVM compatible. That's we thought that most of the builders they are still very familiar, most familiar with the Solidity and the EVM this uh, dev tools. I think that's really important. We don't want to have another language to educate builders to build on this. So we work on all those EVM builders, developers to the Pharos. You can build without any hassle, and almost all of the APIs and languages are fully EVM compatible. So that's really important. You can even migrate your application to Pharos without any hassle. And the second is, I think we are building a, a new ecosystem on the Web3. It's not just another DeFi. You want to duplicate something on this. And as a new layer one, all those almost all those sectors in the ecosystem are empty, and you can always find the position of your project. And what is also important is that it allows innovation on this system because what we're onboarding is didn't sing elsewhere, no matter it's Solana or Ethereum. We are onboarding those institutions, asset, and the real applications on Pharos, and around those assets, you can build very innovative applications. For example, how to trade and the order base on blockchain. It's not just a simply AMM DEX can trade the order base. Requires many different features. For example, they needed to be some of the price needed to be requested by the sellers is just not the AMM to decide the price, and also there are some of the KYC requirement. How can you make it more smoothly and without uh, without hassle to the users? How can you reuse the credentials from the KYC users, etc. And also some of the uh, uh, anti-money laundering features. I know all people use the several service provider in the community, but when it's a must in most of the cases how we can make it more uh, the user experience more better in these cases. And also, for example, it's because it's not a crypto asset, it's the Web2 asset being tokenized as an array on the blockchain, and it has several interesting things how you can build the derivative based on those assets because we have some two projects in current ecosystem. They are trying to build this protocol that try to compose and decompose asset on Pharos and to make the asset being being segregated into different layers. They can be like a volatile, like meme coin, based on those assets, but they can also be very secure and stable, and to have a yield every moment for the users. So I think that's quite interesting. And I also saw a lot of those TradeFi people, developers. They know how TradeFi works and are trying to some kind of duplicate something from the TradeFi to the crypto. Though it has some changes because it's in smart contract, it's not a centralized system. How you can make it happen, and uh, and I think all the most of those applications on Pharos are quite unique in our ecosystem, and they have tons of innovation. Some have the very combination with the TradeFi and the crypto. Uh, yeah, I would say it will be a good opportunity and potential in our current ecosystem.
I'm just trying to understand this a little bit deeper, probably on a simple level. But it's like, so if you're the institutional grade asset, so if I'm an institution, say I'm a bank or an insurance company, I've got my assets that I could then tokenize and I put them onto Pharos chain, and then I can use this uh, to develop different apps. Is that kind of what you're talking about there?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, you issue a token based on your real world asset. Your
Mm.
probably it's a fund or tokenized fund or tokenized some like, equity share or whatever. And based on that, it becomes a token. It can do a lot of things using a smart contract.
So will this allow institutions, so these funds to get for retail to get access to them?
It depends on the jurisdicts and also the legal structure of that. I think in most area, the premium market it has to be KYC users or PIs, is professional investors, and because of that, but there are many ways that it can wrap. For example, it can be wrapped into a vault or put into DeFi in the secondary market, and
Mm.
it become permissionless for all users. And
So
I
does
think
that sorry, I just wanted to for that, does that allow, say, the bank or the company to actually, turn their unliquid assets into liquid assets by putting them into DeFi ecosystems and earning extra yield off them rather than just sitting in the real world, right?
yeah, yeah, yes, a lot. It's not in most of the areas. Though it's still security in most of this regulated area. You need some kind of a license to issue those token on the blockchain.
Interesting. And then so I know that Pharos has coined a term RealFi. And in the Web3 blockchain space, we love acronyms and we love jargon. So, are you able to explain very simplistically what is RealFi and why is Pharos doubling down on the RealFi narrative?
Yeah, basically, RealFi is on the real things because we want to say all those underlying assets are real from the real world, and
Hmm.
also the yield are real. That's very important because we saw a lot of the cases, the crypto, and they create a lot of, for example, yield source or something very high yield, but it's not a sustainable, and most of the time it's because of the inflation of the token. It's not a they don't have any real yield, and they just come from the token inflation or from the narrative, and soon all those things collapse after
Mm.
a few months or even 3 weeks. So we want to know how we can make this world more a crypto world more sustainable and secure, and that's what we're trying to emphasize. All the yield on Pharos is from those real world asset, real world yield, and it's more sustainable and secured. If you saw, like for example, a 10% or even 15% of APY from those assets, it can last for many years.
Mm.
Uh, you don't need to withdraw like 1 or 2 weeks after you get the yield, or all you get is some kind of tokens. It's not the real yield. So all the asset from on Pharos, we distribute the yield using stablecoin, and you can convert it to really use those yield. Actually, it's not just a token based yield.
So that means that Pharos is actually going to be built on true assets that we can touch, or in the real world, maybe gold or even property. That is actually the fundamental layer backing Pharos, right? So it's sort
Yeah.
of building a very sustainable ecosystem because it's not backed by fugazi numbers or whatever's pumping because this is what crypto Twitter says. These are actually things that you can uh, have been assets for a very long time.
Yeah.
Makes it way more sustainable. So I also read that an article that recently published by Pharos, and it was looking at a little bit of a recap on Consensus, a crypto conference that was just last week in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And you mentioned that everyone there is hunting for the next narrative, whether it's DeFi or social fi or perhaps real fi or even AI is obviously a massive big buzz at the moment. But when you zoomed out, you said you're actually looking for the builders and building with these like real products. And so also found out that Pharos has donated or like set aside a builders fund for $10 million to bring new apps and development into the ecosystem. Do you want to tell us a little bit more around what that fund is, what it's doing, who is it getting allocated to, and what do you actually mean by you're looking for builders that are actually going to bend down and touch the ground?
Yeah. So I think so. Firstly, that we just initiated a 10 million eco fund and also incubator, which is operated by myself and the team. So the reason is that we also give some grants to attract a project and build on Pharos and also do hackathons and. Um, and after this, like in past years, we found that um, for the especially the crypto VC has been how to say kind
Difficult.
of bad for for quite sometimes. So we feel it's really difficult for small project to develop by themselves and or hunting for different grants from different layer ones or layer twos is not a good way to support projects. So that's why we want to build this eco fund and also the incubator to help them. So several problems we thought is that firstly it's really hard for them to raise fund, especially as a small team with only two or three people. It's really hard to get connected to those VCs, and most of them they have very good idea, but it's not really good at know how to pitching to the VCs, but I think the product is really good. And the second thing is that we found that most of the some of the founders they have very good uh, product idea, but it's hard for them to form a good team in that.
Mhm.
Sometimes they need to says asking everybody says, "Hey, do you know who know how to develop something and where is this good engineering?" And especially it's a I know that's a for crypto, it's most of the team are remote. I think it's also
Mm.
like increase the burden that how they can know those team across the globe. So that's also why we can help on that. And the third thing is that also after you have built the project and you have raised some money to make the team running, but uh, something is hard to do the marketing. It costs a lot of money, and it also like for them to build get attractions on the social media and it's you need to like most of the people says hey advice is hey you should find some KOL you should pay them some money to create that and I think it's it's also very hard for small teams to do that and they burn a lot of money and the KOLs they charge a lot sometimes and the last thing is I think is on the go-to-market or token listing because I know there are a lot of noise in the community says, hey, it's you just needed to issue a token, and all the things ended. And also, when you trying to get listed on some of the exchanges, there are, yeah, I think everyone have heard a lot of rumors or stories, and during this process, it's it's very time consuming, energy consuming, and you need to figure out 99% of noise in this community when you're asking for advice. And I think it should not be uh, um, how to say, necessary or mandatory for a small team or founder or project should have this. I think through the incubator, we want to solve this for this medium to small project, trying to incubate and support them through all the ways, from the team, from the legal compliance, through the go-to-market design, and also through the listing of the tokens. So that's why we want to build this. We want to make the founders or the team being really focused on the product and to have the making the innovation happen. And for the rest of that, we want to use our resources, our experience to help them to grow really fast and well. So that's the initial motivation of this.
That is a great opportunity for a grassroots founder who is looking for direction in the Web3 space because there is a lot of noise. And it is difficult because, like you mentioned, a lot of people are working remotely and it's difficult to find good talent and good resources. So, how is Faraz actually able to offer this? Like, what does it look like coming into that fund and that little accelerator? Does it look like a weekly meeting with some of the team or a weekly meeting with you specifically? Like, how does that hand holding work to develop them into a revenue producing company or app or whatever they might be creating?
Yeah. So we have a dedicated team members on this, including myself. So starting from the sourcing of the project, will be all the people will be on that. I think firstly that we are both bi-direction. So firstly, we saw some of the needed needs from our ecosystem. For example, we saw, hey, many projects requires we should have a specific DEX for
Mhm.
example, to exchange the equity stocks on Pharos. We saw this need, and we say we want to looking for people that could build this. So we will directly source them, asking all people around or the VC managers or whatever, say, hey, do you know some of the team may have this experience or may have an interest in that? So we will go for them directly. So that's one way. And the other way is that we do several hackathons, and also the we have a have a have a like how to say, investment managers that are trying to source all the project and see if there's good ideas and a good project. We can also get from our VC friend to say what are the good project you have done recently. So basically, it's by direction. We were trying to get to those projects. After it's we have this, for example, I have this pitch deck, or we talked in person with those founders. We will get we will get to the next stage. That is how we can um, support them by accompanying them every day, so they can tell us what they need. And sometimes help them set up the compliance, set up the legal structures, and how to get. We can also help them set up the tech teams to build for that. And so basically, we treat them as the same team of pharaohs and trying to make it happen. So
What would be your one piece of advice for a founder putting together their pitch deck? Because you must have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of different pitch decks and cold DMs. And this is what a new founder has to do. So, what would be your one piece of advice to make sure that you get your attention in those first 1 minute, actually, to want you to dive deeper or get more information? It's really difficult for these new founders to get a second look. So, what would be your advice to them?
yeah, I think I'm not a really professional investors, because myself is not that background, but I saw several pitch decks, including preparing ourselves. I think the most important thing is to find product market fit for your own idea. So in the first sentence, what make you unique and make it will make you successful. It doesn't need to be the same. For example, doesn't need to be the tech or the it can be anything. For example, you have very unique tech nobody can duplicate in the current market, and you have a really strong background. You have did something that which is really benefit this product nobody has already done before, or just simply um, you have a very strong team. You list several founders of your team. It's really, really strong, and you don't need to say anything. People will give you money. So basically, it's just finding the unique things that could catch that.
Speaking of a strong team, I saw that you guys are currently expanding your own team. So when you're looking to onboard talent, what is a absolute red flag that you would say absolutely not been coming onto our team? There's different attributes that you get alarmed by for somebody coming in. How would you deal with that?
I think there are many red flag. I think different people like from the founder's perspective, from the HR's perspective, there's a lot of red flag. But for me, I always ask that um, uh, I'm trying to get that if the candidate has resilience, and I think it's really important because working in a startup, there must be tons of issues during the work. Sometimes it's from yourself, sometimes from the team, from the market, and it will be a lot of challenges. I want everybody to be resilient, be prepared for this challenge. And when you have that, it's not just a complaint or asking for excuse, but trying to solve that and trying to be prepared for those challenges for quite a long time without give up. I think that's really important for a small team like this. And I know it's sometimes the challenge or difficulty or issues doesn't come from the person itself, from the other people, but it's I would want the team to be always prepared how we can solve that. Not it's not my issue. It's all the other people or the team's problem or the market's problem, and then just trying to quit. And I think that's what I'm always looking for resilient people that get believe in this and trying to fight always, and that's really important for a startup.
Resilience is definitely an attribute of your characteristic because you have managed to grow your Discord to 1 million users, your X Twitter page to nearly 500,000 people. And at the moment, currently in your second phase of in your second test net, it's going massively successful. So, how have you managed to build such an engaged community? Like, what are some of the psychological drivers behind this?
I think the first thing is that how to say we keep talking about on the community, and that's very important. We have a weekly. Um, I think at a very early stage when the Discord community is still small, all the team members will take shift and every week to have a AMM on the Discord. And it doesn't need to be in any topics. Sometimes it's just gaming, and we have a poker games in the community every week, and we have a several like ecosystem talk or tech team talk. I'm trying to uh, express some of the stories behind the pharaohs and to the community, or just trying to have fun with them. And I think, and also I think we have um, peoples and in the community that speaking a lot of languages, trying to get familiar to those community members and to be with them. I think. Probably that's the reason that the community get grow so fast and being so engaged in this. Yeah,
So, being present and communicating with them and just having fun with them is definitely one strategy. But if you were to kickstart from 0 to 1,000 people and you don't really have anybody, do you initially need to give them incentives or airdrops, or do you think that's rubbish, or you reckon you can just build something so good and build the community that you don't need any incentives to bootstrap your community?
I think we didn't give a lot of incentive. Sometimes, for example, the poker games we have winners, and sometimes we give them chances that could have the offline meetings together in the locally. I think that's most of the incentive called. I don't think it's incentive, just making people have fun together. That's important. And uh, frankly, I know that for example, for even for the testnet participants, and there are several like airdrop hunters are
Mm.
out there, but I think we never like focus on that part and to create the data for that. And mm, all in all, that the Pharos is built for RealFi. We want the people to enjoy the real yield, not just airdrop. I think we have expressed that constantly in the community and in the public, and for that.
So your community really know that there's the long-term benefit of actually building within your community. It's backed by real world assets, backed by genuine yield. It's not just going to be an airdropped farm token. There's actually true utility behind this ecosystem. It's brought it back round to like fundamental value that isn't just fugazi meme coin or anything that's just going to be dropped and dumped. It's really good strategy that you guys are building there, and the I think that some companies, when they're starting up, they push too much in incentives and burn through their runway way too quickly. And you've done the whole entire opposite of that. You've just actually provided true value to your users. And then also, you mentioned that you've actually got community members all over the world talking in different languages, spreading the Pharos flag high and wide around the globe. So, where would you say at the moment are you looking to be most bullish on in different geographic regions, I guess Europe or different countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America? Like, where is Pharos thinking is going to be the next wave for crypto adoption?
Yeah, actually, never thought this question before, because we never categorize market or users based on the geographic,
Hmm.
but based on the how to say uh, um, characterism or appetites of those users. So what we thought is that within we saw quite a lot of how to say silent people in this community,
Mm.
and when people all were fighting for this, like crypto trading people or meme users, and we saw a majority of people are not in this case. Probably the very a few people created the 90% of the noise in the community, or even trading volumes in community. But majority of the people are just normal people, the Web3 people. Even they are looking for, say, hey, where I can earn some yield or have good asset to hold. And it seems that only Bitcoin and or are the most secure asset in the community. Even though it can decrease by like 30% or 40%, even more sometimes. So, and also in the Web3, we also saw massive people that they are trying to find, for example, or good financial product in the bank, but it's uh, people. Most of the people they cannot access to that. For example, some of the people in the region that have a very poor financial infrastructure, and they cannot deposit money in their bank. And also, in some of the people, they are not allowed to access those assets. For example, I want to buy a stock in Nasdaq. It will be really, really difficult for most of the people in other countries. And also, some of them we saw really quite good, for example, the fixed rate return product in the bank, but it requires like a 10K or even higher entry barrier for those users. You need to first be a premium user in the bank or whatever. So basically, it's not of a problem there, but but in the crypto, people only sell that I want to create another meme coin or I want to create another coin has created a lot of trading volume. But they ignore the mass of people or just are not the meme users or not even not a purely crypto users with all these needs, and we want to say, hey, why we not bring those the really good financial product or this tokenized asset to them, and uh, and uh, and they can enjoy this yield like every day, every year, and that will be really good. And and I think that's also why that there for last year I think there are several like stablecoin trying to have this yield at USDE, several those products in the exchanges. People uh, is really welcome. People really love it. Like 10% or like 12% of APY. People are really satisfied with that, and but they have a very limited volume people can get. And also there's a kind of a tricky word says the first for example that in Binance the first 1K of the money you can enjoy like 50% APY, but after that it's a very low APY, right? So basically it's still very hard to access for those users, and we want to say those are the majority, those are the really high potential for those users. We want to attract the users like this.
So if there's like a person who is non-crypto native listening to this, and they might potentially at the moment have their money in the bank, traditional bank, and it's earning them 3 or 4%. And then they hear this all of a sudden, apparently I can come across into like a Pharos ecosystem and be earning something that might be around 10%. And I would question that, like, how is that safe? How is that possible? What would your answer be back to these guys?
Yeah, I think there are you need to be firstly you need to be always skeptical on the blockchain. I think when you buy those assets, you are always trying to do some research on what is those underlying asset,
Mm,
and for really professional or have some knowledge, so you can get more deeper as how this asset are tokenized by which, under what jurisdic, etc. You can do some research.
mhm,
But frankly, for normal people, most of the time, it's more accountable on the brands. So who are issuing those assets and who are tokenizing those assets and trying to say if those brands are big brands. And frankly, in this, I think still in the early stage in RWA, and most of those assets that tokenized by those big institution and companies, those big brands, they themselves is really careful to onboarding the most premium asset and the most safe one. They could not allow them to be collapsed in the beginning. So my advice is that for normal people, just look at the brands. Most of them are quite good and at the moment. But later on, it's if we say it's probably next year or the year after next year, it's mass adoption. It's tons of product there. I think at that time there should be also like the TradeFi. There should be a very professional company trying to rate those assets and to make it more how to say. Um, Normal people know how they can get to the how to evaluate those assets. I think that's probably a later stage.
interesting. So at the moment, Pharos is in the development stage, still going through your testnet phase. And what does the roadmap look moving forward? Like, how far off are we from mainnet and people, institutes actually issuing assets on your chain?
Yeah, I think it will be really quick for the mainnet, and we I think in the next 1 or 2 months it will be the mainnet, and
That's fantastic. So, what is some massive learnings or surprises that you have discovered during your testnet phase? Because I know you've actually went and did two different testnet phases, so which is a little bit abnormal for development, but I think it's fantastic because you're actually ironing out all of the bugs, making sure it's going to be a super streamlined transition into mainnet. So, what are a couple of main lessons that you have learned that you would pass on to other founders building infrastructure?
Yeah, I think, frankly, building a layer one is uh, much more difficult than we expected in the beginning. uh, we thought we had to develop this for quite a few years for the infrastructure, but making it a public blockchain is still facing a lot of challenges, and especially that we in at the very beginning we attract a lot of attentions in the community. There are few billions of transactions during the testnet, so it costs a lot of the traffic on our infrastructure on our node services, and most of the issues that happen are on the RPC level. So a lot of the traffic there, and the underlying network has the demand is really big, and also the uh, because initially that we want to do a hard fork to upgrade the first testnet for adding this proof staking mechanism on the consensus level, but a lot of times that because we are keep fixing the bugs during this testnet, and there are inconsistencies on the network side, and so we found it's too risky that to upgrade the first testnet, and it may cause that a lot of users out of services in under this large traffic, and so that's why we choose to deploy another testnet and, to make it uh, to get rid all of those how to say temporary bug fix in the
Mhm.
first version, and then to use a new testnet to bypass that. I think it turns out to be a very good decision because after the second testnet, everything becomes much smoother, and the networks become much more stable, and give us confidence that we can move forward to the mainnet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's creating a fixing the bugs in sort of a sandbox land, then deploying the sandbox land, which is more like a test net, and then that there is more streamlined into the main net. So that sounds very efficient in terms of deployment. So again, I want to dive a little bit deeper into your own background. So I knew that you were Chief Security Officer at Zan, and Zan is the Web3 division of Ant Group.
Yeah,
And for anybody that isn't familiar with Ant Group, it's one of the biggest Chinese fintech companies behind, or they've collaborated with or behind Alipay. And so a little bit more around your background. Like you're obviously very security focused, and how did you get into the Web3 space? And like, what pathways did you take to get from traditional tech background into Web3 now?
yeah. I think at the very beginning that I start to know the crypto is during my PhDs, and at that time I think it's the ICO time. Uh, a lot of people are trying to write a white paper and publish a coin based on blockchain, and I get to know that helping some projects write the white papers in that. That's why I get to know what is a Bitcoin and Ethereum. And during my work at and I'm responsible for all the securities of the blockchain. So I got later on we founded this Web3 brand then, and we get to know a lot of this. We're trying to research a lot of security cases behind the DeFi protocols, and we get the chance to uh, dive really deep to different existing DeFi protocols, smart contracts, see what's going on in the smart contracts, and even each bytecode of this on the behind those DeFi protocols. And after that, we get really excited about what those DeFi protocols are building, and some of the ideas are really cool. And especially the first you learn how the price can be determined through this AMM mechanism, and then later on there are tons of this uh, uh, improvement on this AMM algorithm. And we also saw a lot of really cool idea in this DeFi protocol, how to make it very efficient uh, using the Solidity smart contract, etc. So basically, that at that time I feel really excited about that, and we have the chance to review most of those protocols are doing, and later on we thought. Uh, when we before we start our Pharos, we have several discussion with the team, tech teams. So we want to say though we are building a consortium blockchain, but most of this underlying tech stacks are really good, but we are not able to contribute to the community. Most of the layer one, they are not as fast as what we are building. Their consensus and a storage layer have different issues, but we can improve it to make it better. So why we not build a project that contribute those technology to the community? I think that's initially from a tech team's background, and we're trying to do. It's just trying to uh, mm, contribute to make the good technologies what we build to contribute to the community. That's a very initial thought we had before we build the Pharos.
And so before you were maybe at this university PhD level of research and development, were you a tech or IT kid, or is this sort of a passion that developed later on?
Yeah, and it's I'm completely like a tech guy, a tech kid, very earlier, and even in I think uh, I'm in study like a lot of math and physics uh, and chemistry during my high school, and then I go to the all the way to the undergraduate and then PhD, and for the first 25 years or even almost 30 years, my biggest dream was become a professor. I never thought of, but doing a company, and yeah, it's interesting
So,
experience.
to take this step away from a secure environment or perhaps going down the academic route of becoming a professor, you decided to build the tech and go out and be a founder yourself. So, is this a path that you have been pushed to do by others, or are you a natural entrepreneur, like your parents' entrepreneurs, or is this something that you've sort of figured out on your own map?
I think mostly I made myself the whole journey, but there are still like a few people that uh, play a bigger, very important role in my life and trying to guide me. And I think for the tech side, I think there are tons of people, my advisors in the PhD, and a lot of uh, teachers or mentors during my work. They give me a lot of guidance. And from the entrepreneurship side, I think there are two people that affect me a lot, and the one is my father-in-law, and he runs a small company, and which though today I don't know what exactly they do, but it's a very, very traditional industry field. But he teach me some of the very basic business theories or lessons he learned during his life. And then that gave me a very initial thought about how to run a business. And the second one is Joe's. She's currently the leader of the Ants Web3 businesses, and she also teach me a lot on how to run a team, run a business, and especially she's a financial background and on this, and I think it also gives me a lot of help.
What would you say is the one biggest or most memorable lesson or a piece of advice that your stepfather has given you?
It's not not stepfather. It's
Oh, was his father-in-law?
Father-in-law, yeah, yeah.
Father-in-law. Sorry,
Yeah.
I missed that one. Yeah.
Um, I think it's about um, how you deal with people. I think always like how to say when you want to do business with people, always show how you can benefit them, not asking for benefit. I think that's that's the one. I just she's not that systematically, but some of the words I remember. Uh,
Mhm. Cool. And for you, there as co-founder and CEO, it must be a very busy role, trying to employ new people, onboarding and growing out your ecosystem, while also launching the testnet and migrating that through to mainnet right now. What would you say is something that you do to maintain motivated, inspired, fresh? Do you go touch the grass every single day, or bend down and touch the ground, like you say at Pharos? Like, what do you do to maintain level-headed and avoid burnout?
I think how to say so most of the time I would say it's not that how to say exciting. It's it's always you're being stressed and being extracted by a lot of this to-do list. I have a very long to-do list every day, and to the first thing that you wake up is trying to clear all those to-dos based on this to-do list. But sometimes it feel I don't know how to say. Actually I never thought of this questions how maintain this energy because I was always in my mind is trying to say is firstly how we can finish all those tasks within the time and the things, and also if I have spare time, I will say how can I trying to do some research on the most recent what happened in the community recently, what happened in the industry is like a new development on the AI or yeah. So yeah, I really don't have time to think about how to maintain that, but it's just a goal day by day. Yeah.
Yeah, because the to-do list must be forever long and items maybe slip off the bottom. But and that's what is so exhausting about this industry is that it is 24/7. There's always a new development, always a new narrative or some new tech that is inspiring or the latest and greatest. So it's like it's about making sure that you remain true to your vision. So what would you say in a sentence or two? What is the vision at Pharos that you are chasing towards?
Yeah, um I think we truly believe that we how we can bring the long-term value to this community or even to our investors, to our supporters. And we saw a lot of projects are being distracted by a lot of short-term values, and so and also we thought there for quite a long time there's no no layer one a new layer one comes out and being sustainable. So what I really envision is that we want to build Pharos as a layer one project that we can last for a very long time, and we can build a prosperous ecosystem that could also benefit all the projects that can build on Pharos. And yeah, that's personally what I want to be on a Pharos be. And it doesn't need to be a very specific narrative or whatever. We just want to have this most underlying asset, underlying infrastructure that a lot of people can build on this, and they can gain what they benefit, and also the user can get what they want.
So you've been building since 2014,
Twen- twen-
and is that right?
20, so we built it in 2017, and
2017. Okay.
so Pharos itself is founded in 2024. That's two
Oh,
years.
sorry. That's what I was thinking. 2024. I was like, 2014 sounded a little bit too early. I'm like, that
Yeah.
wasn't right. 2024. So you've been building for the last 2 years, specifically on Pharos. I want to know during this time, because it sounds like you have just had a massive to do list. And when the to do list was finished, it was on to research to maintain what's going on with the latest tech. What would be the biggest sacrifice that you've made over the past 2 years to wear that CEO and co-founder hat?
Yeah, I think mm, how to say, the biggest sacrifice, I think, is mostly the personal lives and the uh, also regular workout. I have give up for quite a long time. Yeah.
So you're absolutely locked into building the infrastructure. So very inspiring there.
Yeah.
Well, let's ask yourself a question. When you were 17 years old, cast your mind back to then, and what would be a piece of advice that you would give to yourself?
I think I want to say that um, I would I would like that I be more open-minded and willing to explore, because as I said, I spent almost those my first like 25, 27 years in the school, and I'm really focused on what I'm learning at that time, and want to be a professor, do academic research, trying to get a good score, etc. So I think it's not a it's, it it has a positive side that I be really it really deepen my knowledge in the domain, but also I think help me train me how to solve a problem in a very logical way. But I think it's also narrowed my vision if you are so focused on one thing. So, and for example, at that time I never care about the people connection, people management, and those kind of things. All those things are learned after I graduate. So I'm really generous when I saw a lot of founders that are really young, like in their 20s, and probably even when they are still in graduate school, they really get started a company and are trying to um, raise fund or trying to build a team or uh, yeah, etc. Yeah, that's really a really good thing if you can jump outside of the scope, trying to look at a more um, wider range. Say how you can build a product, how you can manage the people, how you can even like start up a company. That's really a good experience when you're young. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it sounds like you have followed a somewhat more of a traditional path and then got exposed to the opportunities that blockchain and Web3 can unlock, and then sort of fell down that rabbit hole. And your vision has definitely zoomed out and gone wider, but also still maintaining that same focus for building a L1 blockchain that has true usability for it. And so very excited around where we can look forward to get onto mainnet. So from the audience's perspective, how can they follow you and get in contact with you or anybody from the Pharos team if they perhaps want to come pitch to you and be part of your ecosystem?
yeah. Just check our official website. It's pharos.xy, and also the Twitter account as is Pharos Network. And yeah, you can always find me and our other social media accounts there.
Very well. And if they wanted to apply for the RealFi ecosystem grant, is there an application form for that, or do they just simply
Yeah,
send the community a message or join the Discord? How does that look like?
yeah. It will be on our official website, pharos.xy, the ecosystem page, and also it's always welcome to DM the people in the team or in our Discord to open a ticket to ask for help from the community.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's been awesome to learn a little bit more around Pharos and your journey into building it. So, all the best for mainnet coming up, and definitely going to be keeping my eyes on you guys moving forward. So, thanks for joining me today, Wish.
Yeah, thank you, Gara. Thank you.